welcome to Astronomy for Beginners. I'm Martin, and today I've had a lot of questions on the latest forum. We've had a lot of members and using the forum really well and asking a lot of questions. And the number one I face at the moment is a lot of guys that are buying brand new telescopes, or they've acquired a telescope and they just want to know what eyepieces they need to buy. Now, eyepieces depends on what telescopes you're going to use it for. Obviously with eyepieces it can be a complex matter and you can spend a lot of money on eyepieces. However, on this guide today is I'm going to show you what to look for an eyepiece, what to buy for that particular eyepiece, what you expect to see through it, and what sort of my recommendations of eyepieces you know that I think as a beginner to start off with. Now there's a lot of eyepieces you can choose from, and it can be really cheap and it can be really expensive. But because as a beginner it's really quite daunting. So what I'm going to do with this guide is I'm going to go through it as best as I can and clarify a lot of questions. Alright, so obviously we're going to move into the cellar and I'm going to show you my collection of eyepieces. Now I've got a few eyepieces of my own that I've saved over the years, and I will show you the variety of stuff in there.
Okay, right, we're in my cellar, and obviously I've got a few eyepieces out of my collection that I'm going to show you to the beginners on what you're going to look for an eyepiece. Now this is my little box that I keep most of my eyepieces in. Alright, you can actually make these yourself, you know, keeps all your eyepieces away from dust and all that and moisture, and you know, protects them, and plus you can get access easily if you want to view with certain eyepieces. Now what we're going to start off with is an eyepiece, right? Why we use one, alright, and how we use it. Alright, here's a typical eyepiece, a good little 10mm eyepiece, you know, very good quality, you know, you get a lot of these Plossel designs with a lot of good telescopes you can buy. Alright, usually come with the telescope itself. Alright, really good quality. The only problem is, right, is what you're looking for in an eyepiece particular is the main thing you're going to look out for. I mean, eyepieces are used for magnifying the power so you can view the object closer. That's basically what an eyepiece can do. Now the main thing to look for with an eyepiece is making sure that whatever eyepiece you're considering, alright, buying, is always look for like dark coatings on them, right? As you see here, really dark crisp coating there on this little 10mm Plossel, and you're looking at glass as well. Alright, be careful with certain eyepieces, alright, which contain plastic, believe it or not. So always look for a good eyepiece with glass and a good multi-coat which doesn't reflect. Alright, you're looking for that. Alright, also to look for in an eyepiece is you see the number on the side. Now that number, now obviously it doesn't focus very well, but that number you see there is basically the number that you see is 10mm. Alright, that is the focal length of that eyepiece. So if I had 1,000 millimeters or 100 centimeter focal length telescope, alright, with that, if I divide that with the focal length, I'll get 100 times out of this eyepiece with 1,000 millimeter focal length, right? And that's how you work out each eyepiece. Now, higher the number, lower the magnification. Lower the number, higher the magnification. Alright, so remember that. Lower the number, more magnification you're going to get. Higher the number, the less magnification you're going to get. However, with certain eyepieces in particular, you've got to think about there is different types, alright? Different types of sizes. Now, the 1.25" or the 1.25 is the most standard eyepiece you're going to get with any telescope, alright? This will fit virtually all telescopes. Now, you can get the old type, which is the 0.965 size eyepiece, which is even smaller than this. Now, you usually find them on a lot of cheap telescopes. If you do find a telescope with that, it's always best to avoid that particular size eyepiece, because usually the eyepieces are either made of plastic, or they're in such poor quality you're not going to see out of them. Alright, so always look for an eyepiece with an 1.25" barrel. Alright, this is the 1.25". Now, you do get big eyepieces, which on this range here is the 2" eyepiece, but we're not going to go in too far in depth with that. Okay, right. Certain eyepieces, you know, also have different types of eyepieces. Right, you get like the Hugens, alright, a Ramsden, you get awful eyepieces. You also get Plossl eyepieces. There are also so many different types, alright, so many different types of eyepieces. They all give a certain amount of field of view. They all give a certain amount of image quality, alright. Obviously, when you look at an eyepiece, always look for the type of eyepiece you're going to use, alright. Now, the main ones at the moment in the market is your Plossl. Obviously, this is highlighted Plossl here. If I can see, you get that one is much better. Alright, you get Plossl there, right. Always look for a Plossl brand, because 9 out of 10, a lot of telescopes will work with a Plossl. Now, with Plossl, you got to be careful with certain, you know, a focal length. Now, if you got a focal length of a telescope like an f5 or over, so f5, f6, f7, all that, and beyond, or slower telescopes like that, a Plossl will work fine. Now, if you start getting a shorter focal length, which is a faster telescope, say like an f, you know, 4.5 or 4, alright, then what you're probably going to end up getting is, with Plossl design eyepieces, they're not going to focus very well. Basically, what you're going to see is your eyepiece view, when you're looking at a star and you focus it in the middle, it'll appear to be in focus, but then on the outskirts of the field of view, they'll be seen to be out of focus. So when you start changing the focus slightly a bit more, the outer stars will be in focus, and then the inner stars in the middle will be out of focus. So be careful what you pick on certain eyepieces, alright? But usually Plossls work for virtually every telescope, alright? It works quite well, alright? Except for if you start going to the shorter focal lengths, that's when you start running into the problems with the Plossls. Now, you do get different types like Ramsdens and Hugens. Alright, they're much older eyepieces. Alright, they have different field of views. Now, be careful with your Hugens. They're usually the cheaper brands. Alright, the cheaper eyepieces you can get. They're so old nowadays that they stopped making them. Now, you do get them, particular Hugens, and they'll have a H on the side of the number. If there's a H, that will indicate at the side of this this number, you will get an indication that that's a Hugen. Alright, it's best to avoid those type of eyepieces. They offer very narrow field of view, and the lens quality on them are absolutely atrocious. So avoid Hugens like the plague. Ramsden is a little bit better eyepiece. Usually alright in the sort of image quality, but again, still not great eyepieces. Kellners are indicated with a K. Now, Kellners are really good for refractors, particular. For longer focal refractors, a Kellner is probably one of the best buys you're gonna get for a refractor. They offer reasonably good field of view. Alright, I will go into that with field of view after I describe all the eyepieces. And they'll give a good field of view and crisp views. And they're really cheap for the price. You can get good quality Keltner for about £20 to £30. Then we move on to Plossl. Again, a lot of telescopes work with Plossls, ranging from refractors, reflectors and compound telescopes, and they work exceptionally well. Alright, except for shorter focal length. Again, you're looking at a good £20 to £40 for a good Plossl. Alright. As I mentioned before, field of view is also particularly important. Now, a lot of the Plossls you got are usually 52-degree field of view, that's what you're looking for, a really good wide field of view. Here, for example, a good Plossl is the legendary 32mm, which I use quite a lot. Really good field of view, as you can see here. Alright, you can see a very big circle there, right? And that's what I meant by field of view. The more bigger that circle, the more you're going to see. Now, the 32mm is a very good 1.25" Plossl, alright, and it's particularly brilliant for looking at wide field of views of deep sky objects. Alright, the one thing you got to look for, in particular eyepieces, low powers are always brilliant when you're trying to find, when you're trying to locate a target, and low power eyepieces offer the brightest views, which are great for DSOs. So basically, those objects are so faint that they will pop out in a low power eyepiece. Now, if you want slightly increased views, you can use medium power. Alright, obviously you just go down in the barrel size. Obviously, like 25, 20mm. Alright, those sort of ranges there, from 25 and downwards to about 15mm. You're looking at medium power. Alright, they're particularly good at planets and maybe some DSOs that are bright enough so you can get a closer view. Like, for example, the Orion Nebula is pretty good for medium power. Alright, just to get some closer views. Okay, for high power, definitely go from 15 to about no more than 8mm. Reason why I'm saying that is, as you get smaller in size, your field of view, see how this one is a 10mm. Alright, your field of view will still be 52 degrees, but it's not as great through an eye lens like that. Alright, with certain eyepieces. Now Plossl, the lenses get smaller. Now, you can buy more expensive eyepieces where the field of view is much bigger, alright, and you'll be able to see. Now, the reason with field of view is basically bigger that the circle you can see. Alright, it allows you to makes the object stay into the eyepiece. So if you haven't got a tracking telescope or a go-to telescope, that will go out of that eyepiece really quickly if it's got a small circle like that. Alright, so you want something with good field of view, right? Good good sort of view, so it stays in the eyepiece longer. Alright, also they're measured in degrees. Alright. Bigger the degrees, the more you can see. Alright, and they range from 52 degrees all the way up to even 100 degrees. But then when you start buying eyepieces with 82 degree and onwards, they start getting more expensive because it needs a much more complex lens type. Alright, okay. Now usually with the Plossls and all that, you usually get, if you buy a decent sort of telescope, you usually get decent Plossls. Now, a lot of people who can't afford expensive telescopes will usually find that the eyepieces come with it is usually not as great. Alright, if you start getting, if you're not happy with certain views and all that, it's best to just get them changed for some decent Plossls. You can buy some decent Plossls, and you can get them, from a lot of good astronomical telescope shops. Okay, so you can get them, just buy the aftermarket ones, and you can get really good ones. Right, okay. Also, I mentioned about degrees, obviously the field of view. Obviously, the bigger that field of view, the more you can see, alright, and the more wide field. Also, to point out another thing. Now, for a lot of you spectacle wearers out there, alright, an eyepiece like this is not going to be great, alright. Okay, obviously because the eye relief here was like 10 mil. Basically, you're gonna get your eyes as close as literally 5, maybe 6, maybe probably 10 mil is probably max you're gonna see to get the most out of this. Now you can get eyepieces with longer eye relief. Basically, see where my finger is here, is the more your eyeball is away from that eyepiece, the less you're going to see. Now if you get longer eye relief eyepieces, alright, usually you get about 20 to 25 millimeters, and that's good eye relief for spectacle wearers. So if you're looking for an eyepiece and you're a spectacle wearer, look for eyepieces with longer eye relief, because usually what you find with the cheaper Plossos, they don't offer that good eye relief, and that's what you're going to struggle if you're a spectacle wearer. Alright. Okay. Obviously with certain eyepieces, alright, people are going to look for more magnification. Now you can buy different eyepieces with varying sort of sizes, so like 10, 15 mil and all that. But sometimes if you're using a too small eyepiece and you want to double the magnification, what you probably find is it's not always practical to use that because of this you know, the field of view gets diminishes. So a good alternative, now a lot of people disagree with me here, alright, is get yourself a decent Barlow. Alright, here's a good one. You don't have to get this particular Barlow because this is quite an expensive Barlow, but get a good 2 times Barlow, and you can get them from a lot of good shops. Alright, and you're talking round about, for a good Barlow, round about 30 to 40 pounds for a decent Barlow. And what a Barlow does is you put this on the eyepiece itself. Alright, if I can get on there, just unscrew that. What an eyepiece will do, so when you fit this Barlow, alright, it fits on top of that, right, and then you fit it to the eyepiece holder of your telescope. What that Barlow does, it doesn't magnify the eyepiece, believe it or not. What that does is it increases the focal length of your telescope. So if you've got 1,000 millimeters, basically that will double to 2,000 millimeters on your telescope, alright, for example. And what it does, it increases that to 2,000. So if I had, for example, say with this one, I'm going to start off with this one, being easier to work out. So I've got a 10mm eyepiece fitted to a 2 times Barlow, fitted to a 1,000 millimeter focal length. Usually it gives me 100 times. With this, because it increases to 2,000 millimeters, this will give me 200 times. However, the trouble is using a Barlow, when you're using that kind of magnification on a certain amount of telescopes, is you're going to start running into problems trying to see the object. It either be too much magnification for the telescope, and the image becomes blurred. So usually a cheap alternative with a Barlow is you can actually, you know, if I've got 2 eyepieces here, alright, basically I've got 4 eyepieces as well. So because basically that Barlow will give me basically 4 eyepiece range of magnifications. Obviously with the Barlow, if I use it with a wide field, I'm not going to sacrifice that wide field. Alright, it's just going to basically double, give me a different magnification again. Alright, and that's what a Barlow does. However, Barlows can be used for other things as well. Alright, particularly for planetary viewing. Alright, a Barlow, particularly because it increases the focal length of a telescope. If you want to view like the moon, a close-up of the moon or the planets, and you can't really see much, and if you fit a webcam on here, basically it'll double that focal length and makes the planets much closer and able to see details on the planets. Alright, so a good Barlow, 2 times Barlow, will bring in the planets a little bit closer. Alright, but I'm not going to cover that until a later date. You can get specialized 1.25 eyepieces. This one in particular is a reticle eyepiece. Right? Basically, what this eyepiece has a reticle, like a target sign inside. If you can just see it, you can just see like a crosshair in there. And what that does, alright, this reticle eyepiece enables you to, particularly like for if you've got a go-to system. Now if you want just some accurate sort of get the bright stars for alignment, for example, for a star alignment, this is particularly useful for getting that field of view of that star bang on in that field of view, so that what that does is it makes your go-to much more accurate. Again, these aren't particularly expensive, they cost around 40, maybe £50 if that. Alright, and this one also lights up, alright, and as if I just increase that this illuminator, you'll be able to see illuminated. I don't think that's appeared on very well, but basically that reticle will also illuminate at the dark, so it enables you to see that crosshair at the dark. Alright, and you can really find just that, and it basically gives you can adjust the brightness of it. Alright, really handy feature. Also can be used for star drift alignment. Alright, this is particularly useful for astrophotography, or you can actually manual guide with this. But I'm not going to cover that because that gets a bit too much in detail. Alright, okay, as I said before about 2-inch eyepieces. Alright, good thing about 2 eyepieces. Alright, alright, they're bigger, and what they allow you to do is allow you to see more because they've got a much wider field of view. Alright, a much wider field of view. Again, it's a still sort of format where you still got the 32 degrees. Alright, this is what I meant by the obviously the field of view, 70 degrees field of view, and basically what that's saying is that's got a massive whopping 70 degree field of view. So this will give you a generous field of view. Alright, obviously with 2-inch eyepieces you're expected to pay a hell of a lot more. Alright, because reason usually what you find is higher the number, the more lenses is usually needed. Now there's so many different types of 2-inch eyepieces, I cannot cover them all. Alright, but this is a really good wide field, ultra wide field eyepiece, and these are brilliant for DSOs. Alright, they just pop out because of the surface brightness, because there's more light that will allow in. These DSOs will pop out like no tomorrow. Alright, expect to pay a good 2-inch eyepiece round about 60, maybe £70 each. Alright, they're all heavy though, so be careful what you buy on certain telescopes, particularly on Dobsonians, where if you buy a really heavy eyepiece like this one for example, this one weighs about almost a kilo and a bit. Alright, this one is quite heavy. Alright, really heavy glass, and there's loads of lenses in this one. Alright, however, when you buy a particular eyepiece like this, you expect to pay a hell of a lot more. Alright, again with the optics, I mean this is a £400 eyepiece. Now it's not necessarily that you need to buy a £400 pound eyepiece. Alright, but this will offer 100 degree field of view, and because of the optics and all that, brilliant for DSOs again. Alright, but you expect to pay a heavy price. Alright, not highly recommend it for beginners, to be honest with you, but for these particular brands, the Skywatcher ones with the panel views, you cannot go wrong for the price. Alright, I've got different usually with these sort of eyepieces, 2-inch eyepieces, they vary from 40mm down to about 26 is usually the sort of limit you're looking at 2-inch eyepieces. But again, you get fold away rubber cup, and also they offer a fantastic eye relief as well, you know. So you expect to see a lot more. Also another tip when you start buying certain eyepieces is, I notice I use screw-on caps at the bottom. Now a lot of the dust caps you do get with some eyepieces are fine, they stop dust from getting in there, but I do actually prefer to get the screw type, where it basically screws on the bottom and stops a lot of dust from getting from the bottom. Alright, but dust caps are fine. When you're not using them, you can always put the dust caps back on. Always when you're not using them, put them back on. Again, 2-inch eyepiece format can also come. You can use a 2-inch Barlow. Alright, you can get them. However, they don't seem to be quite a decent market on 2-inch format Barlow, but they are pretty good. They do offer reasonable sort of views. Alright, cheaper alternative to buy a 2-inch Barlow, if you've got 2-inch furniture like this 2-inch eyepiece here, the panel view, you can get away with doubling the magnification and that and get similar sort of performance like this 14mm for example. Alright, however with this eyepiece, reason for it's also being expensive is it has special coatings on there that are allowed and also nitrogen purge optics as well. So basically this eyepiece does not suffer from moisture. Alright. Also this can be cleaned with just water because it's waterproof. Alright. However, don't clean the other eyepieces, the cheaper eyepieces, with water. Alright. Alright. There is special ways to do it. Alright, when the eyepiece does become dirty, alright, with fingerprints and dust, alright, don't wash them with water. However, these specialised eyepieces you can. Alright, but I'm not going to go in too much detail on cleaning the eyepieces. I'll cover that in a later tutorial. Alright, but as you can see, alright, there is quite a few types, alright, that you can buy. Here's my eyepiece box that I made. Alright, I made this myself. Alright, anyone can make one of these. Alright, and what I do is it's easier for me when I'm stargazing outside. That I put them in this box, keeps away from moisture, and it's easy to get access. But if I want to look at certain objects in the sky, I can just pick an eyepiece and all that. Basically, what I've done here is I've got my arrangement here. I've got my 1.25" outfit of Plossels. Alright, all my eyepieces that I got here are all Plossels, and I got some Barlows as well. Alright, Plossels are absolutely brilliant eyepieces. I seriously recommend it to any beginner. Alright, and then I've got some of my filters here that I use, but I'm not going to go into that in this tutorial, but I will cover it on a later date. Then I've got all my in this section here I'll have all my dew heaters, my GPS and my sense guide and all that. And then here I've got where I keep all my cleaning stuff, so I can clean my eyepieces and all that. Okay, and here I have my 2-inch format, alright, of my eyepieces there. So I've rearranged it from there. Okay, one thing that I did particularly miss is this. Alright, now a lot of guys, alright, are wondering, basically are wondering what sort of, if you're limited with certain eyepieces and you can't afford, and you can only afford one sort of eyepiece, it depends on what telescope you've got. Now, one good one that I always suggest is what I bought from a particular shop is if you're limited to a certain amount of eyepieces and you're looking for a one particular eye, you can always go for a zoom eyepiece. Alright, you can get some really good zoom eyepieces out here, and you can get different magnifications. Obviously this one is a high powered one. Alright, this is a Space Whaler zoom eyepiece, and basically this slides up and down and gives me different eyepieces. This is a 5mm to 8mm, but this is really good for planets and all that, and because it's got a 60-degree field of view, it's absolutely fantastic zoom eyepieces. Now you can get some cheaper ones on the market, alright, but be careful, alright, go to proper astronomical shops, right, and they'll advise you on a good zoom eyepieces. There are some good zoom eyepieces out there, and they are getting better. And if you're limited to a certain amount of eyepieces, or you don't like particular eyepieces, you can always get a good zoom eyepiece, alright. I like to say, and the good thing about zoom eyepieces, you don't have to have a load of eyepieces to get certain magnifications. Alright, so that's another thing. Alright, another thing I also need to point out is this. Alright, also I didn't mention about cleaning eyepieces. Alright, the general rule is when your eyepieces get dirty or dusty, alright, get in the habit of not cleaning them, alright. And the reason why I say that is if you clean your eyepiece, you know, what you're going to do is if you clean them all the time, you end up scratching the optics, basically the coatings on the eyepieces. Now too much cleaning will take that coating off, and that coating is really important. And what that does is it stops reflections. It makes, you know, if you start scratching that coating off because you're doing too much cleaning, alright, you're going to lose light transmission and all that. So get in the habit of don't over clean too much on the eyepieces, alright. When the eyepiece does need cleaning, alright, you're looking, you know, basically from time to time, alright, optics will get dirty, alright. Now if they get dusty, fine, you can get away with doing this, alright. Right, there are two things you can get. Alright, get yourself one of these. Alright, this is a blow brush, a blow brush. Alright, what this does is it blows off a lot of dust. Alright, and basically get yourself a hurricane blower. Alright, a good blowing brush. Now you can get a lot of lens cleaning kits out there that are offered certain blow brushes, but to be honest with you, they're rubbish. Alright, this is what you want. You want a hurricane blower, alright, and they give out a decent amount of air to remove the dust. Alright, 9 out of 10, a lot of dust gets removed by a blow brush. Now, if it gets to a point where the dust is very difficult to remove, then get this. This is a lens pen. Alright. Brilliant sort of device. Alright, basically it's a camel hair brush. Alright, you see here, and basically you want to brush say like any sandy, gritty material and all that you want to get rid of, or any dust, camel hair brush. Alright, and then at this point here, a lot of times if you get a little amount of smearing, it comes with a carbon tip. Now this is like a foam tip inside, alright, and you put the cap on, you twist it a few times, and then it gives you this carbon thing. Basically, what you do is when your lens gets a bit dirty, you know, with smear marks, the best thing is to lightly breathe with your breath. Don't spit on it and all that. Just go like just a slight breath, alright, and then what you do is you then rub it on to this here on the lens here, and then you just gently clean it, so, you know, up and down, side to side, and all that. And what that does is it will remove all the smears, alright. But never do that until you've got all the dust and all the grit or whatever it's in that lens first, alright. Because if you don't do that, you end up scratching the coatings, alright. 9 out of 10. This is the only kit you'll probably ever need for most eyepieces, alright. However, to extreme cases, now it is extreme, is now you get yourself some of these, alright. This is a Barlow Wonder cleaning fluid, alright. Seriously recommend getting, and you get a cleaning cloth. Usually costs about £15 for the whole lot, alright. But what that does is this is the best cleaning kit you can get for your eyepieces, and even for your objective lens on your telescopes and all that. Alright, this works wonders. Alright, for circa £15, alright, this will get rid of most smear marks. It'll stop mold from forming on your lenses and all that. For circa £15, which I know is expensive, alright, this is guaranteed to remove most of the crap off, alright, and this is what I always use, right, without a doubt, alright. And what this does is, once you use your blow brush, for example, you know, use your blow brush and you breathe it, you know, clean it all the way around, alright, it removes most of the dust particles. If not, use a camel hair brush to remove the rest, alright. Use that. Once you find that, just give it a quick blow with that, and then should remove as much of the particles as you can. Once you've done that, you then spray, and I mean you only spray a little bit on the lens, alright? Literally, you spray about literally a good foot away, and just spray, lightly spray one squirt. That's all it takes, one little squirt. And then what you do is you get this cloth here with Barlow cleaning cloth, alright, and you lightly clean away at it, alright, okay. You just rub it up and down, very gently, alright, and until it's clear, okay. And once it's run clear, that's it. But it's so easy with the Barlow cleaning fluid and the cloth that your optics will be assured that it'll be nice and clean, and you're not going to get smear marks, alright. Bear warning is, if you're cleaning anything underneath, try not to get any debris underneath the the eyepiece. If you do, use a hurricane blower to blow off the remaining stuff. A lot of times is always keep this capped when you're not in use, alright. The coatings on there are usually a lot more delicate than the one nearby the eye. Near the eye, they're usually quite robust, alright, and they will take some cleaning. However, at the bottom, they can be a bit of a nightmare. So obviously, when you finish using your eyepieces, is always store away, put the cap on the bottom and the top, alright. So get in the habit of, once you're not using them, always cap them, okay. Another problem that a lot of that I faced as well is moisture, alright. Now, time to time, when you're observing outside with your telescope, your eyepieces do actually dew up, alright. The tip is, if they do dew up, alright, or start to dew up when they start to mist, alright, put the caps back on and put these in your pocket somewhere warm, and then once they're warmed up, they'll try and warm up, and all the moisture and all that tends to go away. Now, if it gets really bad and they start to be water particles on the thing, do not attempt to clean them, alright. Leave them as they are, alright. Do not clean them. When you get back to your back at home, take them in a warm room and take the caps off and let them slowly evaporate, okay. Now, if you're observing obviously outside, and you want to prevent something like that to ever happen again with the eyepieces forming the dew and start forming droplets, or to that matter, if it gets on really cold nights, they start frosting up, there are certain devices that you can get, alright, to eliminate that from happening, alright. And what it does, it just needs a little bit of power, alright, and I've got one here, alright, and basically it is a dew zapper or a dew strip, and basically is, let me just get this out of here. Basically, it's a little strap here that will wrap around the eyepiece, alright, around the eyepiece, and then you plug this on, right, little plug there, alright, and from that plug you should get one of these. Basically, this is a dew zapper, right? Alright, and this usually plugs into a cigarette lighter, 12-volt supply, alright, and then they cost around about £60, and the strip is usually around about £20, if that, probably a lot less. Obviously, you can wrap these around your objective lens, alright, or basically around the tube, alright, wraps around the tube where the objective lens is, or on the compound, the corrector plate, alright. Once you add that bit of power, you can either run it off a 12-volt supply, alright, usually from your car battery, or you can also use one of those power tanks, which is over there. There's a power tank there, alright. And once you've got a bit of power, basically what you do is you just adjust it. I usually adjust it halfway, alright. And what that does is it enables it's a heating element that's around this strip that's wrapped around this eyepiece, and what that does is it prevents dew from ever forming. Alright, nice little gadget. Alright, like I say, this can power up to 4 ports, so you can have 4 things running at the same time. Alright, and it doesn't take that much power. Alright, and works quite well. Really good investment, and it stops your optics and from dewing up or even freezing up for that matter. Alright, however, it does take a bit of power. Alright, so that's how easy it is, alright, to stop dew from ever forming. Alright, but like I say, I'm just about cool about eyepiece for the time being, but however, it depends on what telescope you're using it for. Okay, but Plossels is my high recommendation for most amateur telescopes. Alright, a good Plossel like this, you know, looking for good multicolored, you know, optics. You can, you know, get various eyepieces. Alright, for Plossels, I always go for a good 32mm all the way down to a 10mm. Anything smaller, I won't go and consider it. Okay, and maybe get a good quality Barlow, but it all depends on your telescope what you're going to use it on for. Alright, some telescopes with limited aperture, say like 70mm, as small as that, isn't going to push out a lot of magnification. So just be careful and bear in mind not to use too much lower value eyepieces, because if you use too much magnification, you're not going to see very much at all. Alright, so just make sure you pick your eyepieces wisely. Alright, but a good Plossel 52-degree field of view with good, you're either looking for fully coated or multi-coated optics, and glass lenses is very important. Alright, comes with a little rubber cup and all that, and does come with dust caps as well, usually come free as well, but a good Plossel. Alright, there are some kits you can get available, alright, for Plossels. You can either buy them separate, or you can actually buy Eyepiece kits. Now I know that Revelation do a decent 1.25 Plossel eyepiece set, alright, ranging from 32 down to I believe an 8mm, I think. But well, usually with the eyepiece kit, you usually get filters with them. You get a 2x Barlow with them, and they come in a nice smart case as well. Alright, a stainless steel case, like similar to those sort of thing. You know, you usually get them case, and they usually got the foam line and all that. For a starter, if you're starting out, it's probably best to get an eyepiece starter kit. They're usually a good quality eyepieces, and they're usually better than the ones you get with the telescopes. Alright, so get yourself a Revelation eyepiece set. I believe that Celestron do a fantastic eyepiece set for £149. Sounds a lot, but when you've got 8 eyepieces, I think it's 6 eyepieces, and so you get a Barlow lens and the filters, particularly the moon filter and the planetary filters you get, that is a really good buy. Alright, and obviously seriously recommended that for beginners, if you want a good range of eyepieces, and you know, get yourself a good eyepiece, quality eyepiece set. Alright, obviously the more or less the Plossel form, alright, but you expect for each one to pay round about maybe 20 to 30, maybe £40 each. Alright, but you can't go wrong with a decent Plossel, and I seriously recommend anyone who's starting out or wishing to buy any eyepieces for the first time is get yourself a good quality Plossel without a doubt. Alright, obviously that includes my guide on eyepieces. Obviously my next one will be pretty soon, will be mounts. Okay, so I'll be covering on mounts. So like I say, thanks once again for watching this guide, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.